name is David Okanlawon. Um, I had almost all of my education in Ibadan. I went to secondary school in Ibadan, then I came to the University of Ibadan here in Nigeria for my bachelor's in archaeology. Um, Finished in 2015, did my National Youth Service Corps program, and then I did my master's here in Ibadan, and then in archaeology, and then I did another master's at Syracuse University. I'm currently a PhD candidate at Syracuse University. What do I do for fun? I like traveling. I also like hanging out. I like taking Uber, which is like beer, definitely, and assume. And yeah, that's it. Hmm. Yeah, so when I wrote, I think my experience is similar to what a lot of people are, right? A lot of us have seen Indiana Jones movies, and Indiana Jones is one of my inspirational figures. Even though I eventually discovered that what Indiana Jones was doing or what he does is very far away from what we do in archaeology. But Indiana Jones is one of my anchor to coming into archaeology. I saw a couple of his movies. I felt that that was going to be fun. And then when I wrote jam, I missed the cutoff mark for law by 1 point. I had a couple of options, like 5 options. And then I was like, yeah, I'd rather be like Indiana Jones. Yeah. I think that's interesting. That's an interesting question. One of the essay questions they typically would ask is the University of Ibadan. First, they typically would ask the University of Ibadan first year students is archaeology is the an archaeologist is the jack of all trade and I think master of all, right? And I didn't get to understand that until like very recently. It's like you are doing identification of animal bones at the same time you're doing botanical stuff, at the same time you're doing paleobotany, at the same time you're flying a drone, at the same time you're digging. So it's basically archaeology has basically turned us into me personally into someone who's like an investigator from of all ramifications. So it's taught me to always probe things, which is something I'm very happy about. So I don't take things at the face value anymore. When people say things, I just felt this very huge urge to probe deeper, and that's like one of my very assets that I got from archaeology. Yeah, yeah. I think when I just started archaeology, it's met with um, a lot of resistance from them because my parents are very hands-on. This is what they want their kids to do, and also they resisted it. And but I think I'm just a rebel in a way, and I was able to fight my way through it because that's just what I told myself I was going to do. And but right now, I think they've gone past the phase of them fearing if I was going to do well in life or not. Their fear now is about is archaeology going to drive him away from religion and God, right? And that's still the phase we are in. So we're trying to face all of that. So when it comes to what my family and friends think, I think my family have this kind of worry about this because they are very religious. I come from a very religious family, so they have this worry about is archaeology going to drive this guy away from Christ, or but in terms of is he going to be successful in life? Is he going to be fine? They have the assurance that yeah, it's going to be fine in archaeology. They are just very concerned about the afterlife. Great. I'm an archaeologist. A lot of people call me an historical archaeologist, but I don't like to use the word historical, right? I don't like to sectionalize what part of archaeology people do. Because, like Brodel, I believe in history being a continuum, right? Deep history, contemporary history. I believe history is history, it's about the past. So when we are doing archaeology, we're not sectionalizing. But that being said, I deal with the archaeology of capitalism. I deal with the archaeology of the last about 500 years. I deal with the archaeology of cultural contact, especially European contact on the West African coast. So I answer questions such as what has the form of entanglement that we've had with the capitalism that came in the last 500 years, right? How has it led to culture change or transformation? Because I don't believe culture change, I believe they transform. So I answer that. I answer the questions of food ways, and I sort of go into food ways because I believe that a lot of people who are focused on the archaeology of the last 500 years focus on heritage, they focus on slave trade, they focus on the physical remnants of slave trade. But I am going beyond that. I'm going into looking at what are the lived experiences of the people who were involved in the slave trade, both from the European side and both the West African side. So I do foodways, I do archaeology, I do what people would term historical archaeology, that's what I call archaeology of capitalism, and yeah, that's sort of how I would describe it. Yeah, you see, when we talk about involving local community, from the point of view that if you do any form of archaeology, you are telling history, and that in a way is serving the community. You are involving the local community. And for the kind of work I do, it's sort of complicated, right? A lot of people say, oh, involve the people whose land they are working on. Well, yes, that's true. But I'm working on a land that was occupied by Europeans now, right? I'm not working in the the West African space. It's a West African land, but the people who occupied it were Europeans. So when it comes to engaging the community, what I sort of do is to look at communities in different angles. I look at the intellectual community, which are like professors, schools, the academic community, which is very different. Where I currently work in, I work in Sierra Leone, and in Sierra Leone there's no archaeology, right? So basically, I work with the history department with at the Furabe College in Sierra Leone. They've been very helpful. They're very supportive. I work with them to shape some of the historical narratives. Um, I also live in the community where I do research. I live on Papel Island, one of the very interesting places I've ever lived in. No electricity, no light. They were sort of engaged there. When we are doing the research, they help us to conduct the research. We live as one big happy family. And when we are writing the stories, we also have input as to what they see now, what they think has happened. But there is no like direct contact between the people who currently occupy that space and the people who use the site where I am currently researching. But we try as much as possible to engage the community. The most unforgettable field experience for me is my first departmental field was at Owole. That was my introduction to field school. It was fun. It's not the way the department does field school now. This is a very rugged field school where they just drop all of us in the village and we find our way through it. And yeah, that for me was very fun. It was very anthropological in a way because it's like you are not only doing the digging, you also have to find a way in the community, you have to engage the community. It was tough, but I think it sets the standard for me. And in terms of other field works, I think my doctoral field work is also very interesting. It's rough. Like I mentioned, it's on one of the islands in Sierra Leone. This place has one of the highest level of mortality ratio for the Europeans. Just to tell you how tough it was. It has over 50% mortality ratio, and the mosquitoes there are, yeah, and then there is no electricity, no very good water. It's a very tough space. But the amazing thing about it is that the people are great, right? They are willing to welcome you, they want you around, and that's sort of what keeps us going. So in terms of field experiences, I think those are some of the two I'm going to mention. And if I want to talk about another one on some of the Fuji side, I would say the one in Ghana because I'm also working on a project in Ghana. It's like on the beach in an hotel. So it's for me. So that's one of the good things about archaeology. Like you just get to experience some of this very fun and very lifestyle. But for me, I think the best has still been the Owile field work organized by the department. The field work snack used to be Gary, but now it has changed. Now I now take something called the Bones Island snack, right? So Bones Island is the name of the island I'm investigating. So we call it Bones Island snack. So this developed with my advisor. We're doing shopping one time. We saw this thing. It was supposed to be like a canned beef thing, but it wrote canned meat, right? And we're wondering what kind of meat was inside. And we this conversation started, and then somebody was like, "Oh, it probably has chimpanzee and goat and lizard, and all of that is mixed into meat." And all. So we decided to create something like a Bones Island club sandwich. That's what we call it, Bones Island club sandwich. So it's like sort of a bagel with canned beef with laughing cow. It's laughing cow because it's not. It's a laughing cow cheese because it's not sort of a real cheese, right? So it's laughing. It's literally the cow is laughing at you. So that cheese, the meat, not the meat, yeah, the meat, the meat, and the bread, the burger bread, is sort of what I call the bonfire and club sandwich. That's my favorite favorite snack for now. It might change tomorrow, but that's it for now. I think I want to talk to Bodil and ask him how he got to create all of those crazy theories that keeps me awake at night. Right. But okay, that's on the lighter side. I think I want to talk to Merrick Osnansky. God bless his soul. He's like one of the front runners of African archaeology. He's contributed a lot to African archaeology. I call him my academic grandfather because he supervised my advisor. I've engaged his work a lot, and I sort of liked his vision. And I think that, yeah, it's something a lot of us who are doing African archaeology are drawing a lot from. So yeah, for me, it's very Konstanty. Again, I also got tricked by this. I saw a lot of Indiana Jones movies, and I thought that, oh, we're going to go to the field and start throwing ropes and climbing things and finding cool stuff that we can take home, finding gold and all of that. Well, we've been digging for how many years now? Since 2011, 2012. I've never found a piece of gold. So that's not it. So archaeology is not about finding gold. It's not about um, finding things that an ordinary person will find as valuable. Um, it's sort of otherwise. It's about finding trash, right, and making sense out of the trash. So I think archaeologists are sort of trash diggers rather than jewelry diggers. So I think that's one big misconception that everybody has. I think the legacy is going to be the legacy that some of us get. It's just the Basianda legacy. It's people doing archaeology. So people doing archaeology the way those people have done it, those people committed their lives to archaeology. They did very great work. They really dug, right? And even though archaeology is moving away from, oh, you have to dig and all, I still feel like the methodological aspect of digging and excavating and doing the real core archaeology is still very paramount. And I think that's the legacy I intend to leave, right? My archaeology in Sierra Leone is going to be very methodological. We're going to dig, we're going to excavate, even though we are going to back it up with theories. But I think that there's still so much value in doing the real hardcore archaeology. And that's sort of the legacy I intend to leave. Yeah, archaeology is fun, but we should not get lost in the fun of it because we are telling people's stories, right? We are reconstructing people's lives, and we should take it that serious. We should take it as if we are dealing with people's heritage.